Hi, everybody. How's it going today? Well, it's Sunday afternoon, and my husband is watching football. So I thought I would go ahead and do a live broadcast because I had a couple of cards I needed to make. Now, the last time I did a broadcast, it was kind of an impromptu, and this one I scheduled in advance. I'm hoping to get some people to plan on attending. But in any case, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to create some cards. Now, I have a birthday coming up for my mom, and that's really what I wanted to focus on today is creating a birthday card. But more so, I wanted to talk about the technique of layering. I know a lot of people see these beautiful layered cards that have dimension, lots of layers, lots of colors, and people get intimidated by that. So, what I thought I would do today is kind of break down the process because I love making layered cards, and a lot of my cards don't necessarily have dimensions, but we're going to put some dimensions on this one today. Now, the card that I'm making, like I said, is going to be a birthday card, but I'm not going to necessarily put a sentiment on it. I'm going to leave it a little bit more generic. It's definitely going to be a more feminine card because I'm working with pinks today, but I am also going to put in some of my vintage vibes because, I'm a vintage inspired crafter. So I'm going to go ahead and turn the camera down and I'm going to show you some of the things that I have on my desk to work with. Now, I want to let you know most of the stuff I'm working with today was just scraps around my craft room. I didn't necessarily go out and buy anything. I may or may not use my stamp sets. I know that was my plan originally to use a stamp set, but depending on where we go with the cards. And if we have time, I'm going to do a couple of layouts here, depending on what kind of time we have. But for the most part, it is going to be more of a feminine card. If you change up the colors, I'm sure you can turn it into a more masculine. But this has lots of frills. It has lace. It has buttons. So it's definitely going to be more towards a female card. So let me go ahead and turn the camera down and we'll get going. And let me see if I can put us right side up. All right. So this is the card that I was working with because I wanted to kind of put the layer together um, before I actually got on camera. So this is what we're going to do. This is the design we're going to make. And the design isn't necessarily something that you have to do just in one theme. You can do it in lots of themes, but I really wanted to show you what kind of design we could do and the layout. So that's really what we're going to focus on. So let me go ahead and pull over some of the items that were just on my desk, and let's see if we can put something together here. All right. So I went ahead and I cut out some cardstock before we get started, and I want to go over some of the dimensions with you. And let me just get some of my pre-cut cards. And like I said, I kind of prepped ahead of time because I wanted to not have to take too much time cutting paper. So let me just put that aside a second here. So this is the layout here. So it's going to be a 5x7 card. And I like to do 1/4 inches. So for the most part, every layer is about 1/4 of an inch. So I like my card base to show in the background. So my first layer is 6 3/4, and I just kind of break it down from there. And then I have a second layer that goes right on top of that. And as you can see, I cut it down 1/4 of an inch even more. And essentially what I'm doing here is I have my designer paper and then I'm just matting it with some solid cardstock. So that's kind of how we're working here. Now, for your focal point, that's where you can get a little bit more creative. For my focal point, like I said, I was going more towards a sewing theme. Focal point was this old image, and these images are just old advertising cards. It has the little coats emblem right there, and I was able to find just 4 gorgeous images that I could work with, and they were just the right They were actually a little bit bigger, but I sized them down so I could work with them into my card. And then, as you can see, I have some vintage items. So I have an old Viewmaster here. I've got an old ticket. And then these are just pop-up stickers I've had in my stash. This is a die cut that was my mother-in-law's, and I've had forever and ever. And then what I did, see, these are the old stickers that I had. What I did is I just kind of pulled out my ephemera stash. And this is just paper that I stick in here. Ooh, that glare is awful. Let me close my blind. All right, hopefully that's a little bit better. So this is just paper stash or ephemera that I have that I just kind of put in here. And these are what I used for my labels, but for my borders, I should say. But we're gonna possibly use some stamps for that. Now, this was the stamp set that kind of gave me my inspiration. And this is a really, really old Tim Holtz stamp set. As you can see, it's more of a sewing theme. You've got an old pattern. You've got a tape measure, needle book, an old form stand, and then just some quotes, which is really, really nice. So that's kind of where I got my inspiration for the card. And then I just kind of went from there. Now, for your layering part here, this is measured against your 4-inch. This is 4 inches across. So it's 4 inches by 3 inches, I want to say. And then you can, this is just an old catalog card that I thought I might use as well. But if I decide not to go that way, then I have another piece cut out. So I think we're pretty much ready to start putting this card together. So the first thing I'm going to do is take this paper and I'm going to fray up the edges. And I'm just using one of my Tim Holtz tools. This is a distresser that will fray up some of the edges. So I'm just taking it and running it against my edge here. And you can go as heavy-handed as you want on this. If you don't want it to be too frayed up, then you can just go a little bit lighter. I like mine to be grungy. In fact, I take it a step further. So if I have, paper that's good size, I will even tear off pieces just to make it a little bit more grungier. You can also curl up your edges. That's another way to make it look old. But whatever works for you. And then I'm going to go ahead and add some walnut stain. And just to the edges here. Okay. All right. Now, the next thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and get rid of this paper. And I want to glue this down. So the glue I'm using is 3-in-1 Beacon. So I'm just going to go ahead and add this to my paper. And like I said, the paper and the items that I'm using were all from my stash. I didn't have to specifically buy anything for this. This was just stuff I had in my craft room. Some of it was still on my desk from prior projects. And I just kind of color coordinated and gathered. The cardstock that I'm using is Paper Accents, and think I got this from Tonic Studios. I'm not real sure, but it has a variety of colors, which makes great card bases. And then, phew, this is just a really old paper set. I think I got it at Tuesday morning, maybe. But it had some great colors and it had kind of a retro vibe. So I went ahead and I just pulled some paper from that as well. All right. So once you have your layer, then you're going to go ahead and work onto your second layer. And for the second layer, I am going to pop that up. But first, let's go ahead and add this. And again, I am going to fray the actual designer paper, not the base, but the designer paper. Okay. And then I'm going to just, again, add my glue. All right. And now I'm going to figure out what I want to do for some of my embellishments. So on this one here, I had my measuring tape. We can stamp or we can use lace. And I think I'm going to actually use lace on this one. So you kind of want to strategically think about what you're going to do before you actually, start getting into the main part of your card. So I'm going to be adding lace to this. Actually, maybe I'll switch because that lace didn't, yeah, that looks better. This one's a little bit too busy. And that's why I like to have a couple of choices, because this was my original idea. But once I added the lace, I thought it was a little bit too busy. So now I'll go for a more subtle look. So I'm gonna just get some of my glue here and add this. All right. Maybe I should stay on camera, right? Okay, so I'm going to add that here. And then I'm also going to do it at the bottom. I think like that, yeah. And a lot of it, there's really no rhyme or reason. I mean, the layout is pretty standard, but it just is what embellishments you choose to use and what color coordinations you choose to use. You can just kind of go through your stash. You can go through your junk drawers for your craft room. See, if you are like me, you probably have a junk drawer where you've just put leftovers of pieces of scraps that you might have used, and just start color coordinating. I mean, that's really what it's all about, is choosing colors that work together, choosing embellishments that work together, and then just kind of going from there. So I'm going to just trim this down real quick here. Okay. And now I can go ahead and add this. Let me think here. All right. Now, before I do that, I do want to add another dimension here. And I think this is going to go underneath. That's why I'm trying to figure out exactly how I want to do this. I don't know if I necessarily want to cover up my lace that I just brought down. So I pre-cut these. On my prior card, I used, wait. Hi, Rhonda. How are you? I'm glad to see people are finally joining. I was talking to myself. So what I'm doing today is a layered card. This was my prototype that I made, just to kind of repeat. And I had to make a card for my mom. And she was a professional seamstress for many, many years. So I thought for her birthday, I would make her a kind of a seamstress theme. This is an old coats thread image, and that was my focal point. So I kind of wanted just to show you guys how I go about layering. And you might have to watch some of the what is it, the rerun or the post after the fact to kind of go over the dimensions. But essentially, I have 3 layers. I have my base, and then I have, you've been watching. Oh, hi, Desiree. Thank you. I wasn't sure if anybody was joining me. So I just kept crafting. I had to make these cards anyway. So I figured, you know what? I'll just turn on the live stream. And if anybody joins, that's great. So I've got 3 layers here. And now I'm just trying to decide what I want to do for this. For my first card, for my embellishment, I added this one here, which I like it a lot better. This one just is beautiful, but it's kind of bold. What do you guys think? Do you guys like the heart one, or do you like the bigger one? I mean, this is gorgeous, but it's kind of in my face. And I think I might like the heart one better. What do you think? Let me know while I get my poker out and get some of these pieces out. And gosh, you guys, these are old dies. I mean, this one here, I don't even know if they make these anymore. Maybe they do. But this was my mother-in-law's. And this is what made this one. And it's just so pretty. And I don't take the time to actually die cut some of these. So I went ahead and go big or go. You think? I mean, I can definitely tone it down. I did this card with this one. I kind of like the smaller one, but we're gonna try the bigger one. Let's just see. I mean, after all, we're just playing today, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and that's another thing about these dies is when you're pulling them off, sometimes they're so delicate that they tear. It really ticks me off. But I went ahead and I cut a couple of them. And my husband is over at his dad's place right now. And as he was walking out the door, he said, "Your studio is a mess." And I'm like, "Well, I just had a sale. So, you know, give me a break. I'm still invoicing. I'm still cleaning up from my Instagram sale." And I'm like, "It bothers you, doesn't it?" And he's like, "Well, it bothers me that it doesn't bother you." And I'm like, "Well," he just doesn't understand it. For the most part, if you're a crafter, you're kind of used to clutter, but he doesn't get it. So that's why I have my own space and he has his own space. And I don't feel obligated to keep it tidy. Usually after I have a big sale or after I craft, like my desk is a mess right now. You make the best cards. Thanks, Rhonda. You know, I've been doing this for so long. But it definitely was an acquired. I mean, I had to practice. I didn't always, you know, have this confidence in my card making. But I enjoy it. And one thing, and I have to say, this kind of goes back to Tim Holtz. For a long time, I was all over the place with my crafting. You know me now as a vintage inspired crafter, but I was all over the place. I was trying new don't just any craft, absolutely. But I was all over the place. I was trying cutesy, I was trying Copic, I was trying layers, vintage, different companies. And Tim said, you know, do you do what you love. Don't try to, don't buy product just so you can use your affiliate links. Don't, you know, don't feel like you have to love every product out there. Work with what you love. And that's why I decided to just stick to what I love. I like vintage inspired crafting. I like working with vintage ephemera. And I craft for me now. I don't necessarily craft for anybody else. And if people like my designs, I think that's great. I know there are people out there that probably don't like my designs, and there's people out there that do. Hi, Susie. How's the weather out there in Illinois? It was so cold here in Prescott last week, and it was actually nice today. Um, but back to my crafting. I like vintage. Typically, I'm doing my browns and my beiges, and this is definitely usually not my color palette. But I mean, to me, this is still vintage. It's just I wanted to make a more feminine looking card. So these are the colors that I'm using, but to me, it's still grungy. I've still got the torn edges, and it still falls within what I love. So I gotta take it from Tim. Not everybody likes his products, right? I mean, not everybody goes out and buys Tim Holtz products. So I craft for me now, and if other people like what I'm doing, I think that's awesome. But I don't feel obligated to have to buy every single product out there. Sunny, yeah, I know we had a really cold spell here, like I said, but it's really really nice today. In fact, after I finish my live, I'm going to go out. I was so irritated. So I kind of live a little bit in the country, and we have javelina that walk the streets. And a couple of years ago, I got these really big pumpkins, and I decorate my yard. And we had gone camping for the weekend, and then we came back, and my pumpkins were gone. And I'm like, oh my goodness, somebody stole my pumpkins. And I was so irritated. And then thanks, Susie. I don't do very many live chats, but I'm glad people are finally joining. But I came back and my pumpkins were gone. And I was telling my husband, somebody stole my pumpkins. These were nice big pumpkins. Somebody stole my pumpkins. And then we were going to the store or something. And all of a sudden on the side of the road, I saw my pumpkin half eaten. And I'm like, oh my gosh, there's my pumpkin. And it was the stinking javelinas. So I didn't get pumpkins last year for that reason. And I have plastic pumpkins out there and ceramic. And I've got like plastic flowers out there just to kind of have a little bit of decoration. But I wanted to get some live pumpkins. So let me put this down here while I'm talking. I got the little ones. And what I did is I incorporated them into my planter box. I put them behind, and then I put the fake flowers all over the place. And I thought, okay, the javelinas aren't going to eat these pumpkins. Well, guess what? I went out this morning. We were meeting my uncle for breakfast. We do breakfast a lot here in Prescott. And my pumpkins were eaten, and they left the innards. So the pumpkin seeds and all the pumpkin guts what were out on my front yard. A javelina is like a big pig. It's like a hog. But they're wild. And they roam in families, so they're not very attractive, but the little babies are cute. But they can be vicious as well. So if you see a group of javelina, we go on our walks at night, you stay away from them because they can get a little bit mean. But they're like big pigs, and they're wild and they're loose. And they eat your pumpkins, and they even eat some of your flowers. So long story short, I guess I'm not going to be having live pumpkins in my decor anymore. But of course, my husband's like, oh, we need to buy more pumpkins so I can put my video cam in the front yard and we can catch them eating your pumpkins. And of course, that would be his thought, right? He didn't think, oh no, they, messed up my decorations for fall. He's like, well, let's try to get them on camera. So, I like the fact that we have wild animals. If you, oh, okay, glitter. I never thought of that. All right, I'll give that a try. Um, Crystal, thanks. That's actually a good idea. I never really thought of putting anything like that. I mean, as long as it won't hurt the animals, right? I don't want to get them sick. But I would like to distract them from eating my pumpkins if possible. But that's a good idea. I should probably Google, what I could put on my live pumpkins to keep the animals off of them. And I like the fact that we have live animals walking around. I think that's really cool. Um, but I don't like it when they eat my pumpkins. All right. So this is the base. So my point is on this type of a card, once you have your 3 layers, and I didn't even pop this up because I'm chit-chatting. On the second layer, I had put foam tape. Where's my foam tape? I'm so busy chit-chatting, I'm not paying attention to what I'm doing. But I popped it up. In fact, can I still pop it up? Yeah, you know what? I'm going to pop it because I want to pop it. And I thought I was organized. Okay, I need to pay attention here because I'm messing up. All right, so on my second layer, I wanted it to have some dimension. So I did pop it. Let me just get this down and then we can keep talking. I know some people buy just the regular foam and glue that to get dimension, but I haven't done that yet. I just use regular foam tape. I know you can get, foam things at the dollar store. So many products I need to stock up on. I don't know if you've seen some of my recent videos where I've been throwing away product because it's all dried out. Really, another thing that ticks me off is when you have all this product and then you go to use it and it's dried out or it's never empty. I mean, I guess I've run out of things, but I hate throwing away product. So I've been kind of doing an inventory of all of my items because I don't want to start making something and then realize I don't have it. Okay, so now we have our layers. I have my dimension. I have my third point here. Now this is where you can mix it up. This is where you can decide what your focal point is. So for this one, my focal point was this Viewmaster and then my little image. But I want to share with you some ideas before I finish this off. So if you have these little doilies, you can find these like at Michael's, they have in the baking section, and I think these go like under cupcakes. These make great backgrounds. So you can go buy like a whole stack, and they're layered. So I just pull them apart because they don't need to be very thick. And if you are putting paper, you could actually fold it as well. So if you don't have die cuts like this, you can get these doilies and just put them half, and that could be your frills, I guess. So that's an idea. And then of course I have my Viewmasters that I use. There are, I should say, dies out there that will also do things like this. That's really pretty. That's about the same size of a Viewmaster. So if you have these dies, this one's a little bit bigger, but there's dies out there that do things like this. And this is a really, really old one. I've had this forever, but I use this a lot. And then, of course, Tim had the Viewfinder die, and it's one of the bigs dies, and you can't find it anymore. I searched and searched and searched. I finally found a destash group on Facebook that destashes Tim Holtz stuff, and the gal sold it to me for a really reasonable price. I had found them on eBay, and people were asking like $90 and $100 for them, and I'm like, forget that. I'm not paying that kind of money. I'll use the old vintage messed up ones. But so there's a few ways. That's my point. That you can go with this. I haven't decided what I'm going to do yet, so we'll just keep playing here. The other thing you can do are tags. And hi, Krista, how are you? Yeah, I finally got that Biggs die, and I'm so excited because I use it a lot. But another thing you can use are tags. So, of course, Tim has this pack of tags. Some of them are bigger than others. I'm probably going to use this pink one, but this could be used as an embellishment. You can also use tickets. These are actually vintage ones, and I probably shouldn't be crafting with them, but I am. I couldn't even bring myself to gluing it down on my mom's card, so I just put a little paper clip. She probably won't realize it's vintage, but I didn't want to glue it down because it had this little, writing on the back, and I just didn't want to glue it down. So that's a little paper clip. But there's all sorts of old tickets out there. I have some Admit One tickets around here somewhere. I don't know. And then you can also use just dies. So this is another old die from Sussex, and it was the ticket. And, if I wanted to have more of a longer card versus sideways, then I would just, use this and then embellish this. And this is kind of a take on my slides that I alter. And if you've watched some of my videos, you've seen that I alter slides. So this can be a focal point as well that you can kind of build up. Now, I was digging through my vintage stuff. I have vintage stuff, and I found this. I went to an estate sale recently, and this estate sale was amazing. I spent $300 there. I got old photos. I got things from World War One, just all sorts of things. This is what I have on my desk. I got big photos, but here's some of the smaller ones I got. Isn't this just adorable? I'm probably going to do some scanning for my digital shop, but I got things like this. So my desk is such a mess right now. Look at these little boys. Aren't they cute? This is another thing I got in the estate sale. So, old photos inspire me. I don't like to craft with old items, but I do like to scan them and use them. Once you use an actual vintage item, it's gone. So I have a little bit of a problem with that. These tickets I can get. There's a lot of people that sell these tickets, so I can get more of them. But for the most part, I try not to craft with my vintage stuff. But my point that I'm getting to is this was my inspiration. So if you wanted to have this as a base, so this would kind of be your fourth layer, I guess, you could build this up with embellishments. So I haven't decided. I'm going to let you guys, what do you think? Should I try to recreate something like this? Should I build off of this? Should I go with the viewfinder again? What do you think? I mean, I don't want to necessarily do the same thing I did on my other card, but what do you think? I'm going to go ahead and get organized here a second and let me know, what do you think we should do for our focal point? I'm not going to use this, but we can certainly recreate it because I have good old Tim. I have these photo booth images, and we can find one and we can recreate it if we wanted to. So let me know what you think while I tidy up here. So my slides. So goes with that. Now, if you do use altered slides, don't throw away the negative, and I'll show you why. Looking at my time, I don't want to go over an hour. Okay, 35 minutes. So these here make awesome embellishments. If you want to, how sometimes you see people put tickets and they have the numbers sticking out. Well, you can glue these to the back of some of your embellishments, and then you have this sticking out, which is a great embellishment. So if you are working with these vintage slides, don't throw these out. I have a whole bag full of them. So I see someone said the photo as a focal point. I was kind of going towards that too. So let's see, what should we do? I'm either going to do this, or I had some, I don't even know what this is, cardboard maybe. I thought maybe I could cut a piece because I need the bigger size to get the photo. And if you know me, you know that I am a fly by the seat of my pants type of crafter. I know some people like to measure and be exact. That's not me. From Kentucky. My sister lives in Kentucky. She lives in, let me say this right, Louisville. You can't say Louisville or Louisville. She lives in Louisville. So I've been to Kentucky. I have visited her in the past, and it's a nice state. Okay, so someone voted on the photo, and since I didn't see anybody else chime in, that's what we're gonna do. So I think I'm going to, use this, and then we're going to build on this. So let's figure out, that's yes, it's important that we get the pronunciation right. It was just like Prescott, right? Prescott is Prescott, and people say Prescott, and it's Prescott. So unless you live there, I mean, how would you know? All right, so now another decision. Now we have to figure out what image to use. And decisions. See, this is what takes me so long, is figuring out the small things, right? I mean, but it's all in the detail. Okay, so let's see here. I saw one earlier that I thought would be nice. And I definitely want it to look kind of old-fashioned-y. Oh, that's the one I want to use. I'm going to use this one. All right, so let's cut this down. And all right. So, no. Okay, I think I'm going to do some sort of layering. We're going to have to figure this out. All right, so I know I'm going to use this. It's going to have to go off to the side a little bit, which is fine. And this is another thing about layering, you guys. Some people, you have this beautiful paper and they can't stand to cover it up. But for me, when I'm layering or when I'm building up a card from the bottom up, I don't think about what's underneath. I think about the whole aesthetic of it. So if you look at this, just the background, the grunginess, the rips, that's what creates the whole visual. Because when you look at a card, you don't just look at this paper, or you don't just look at this paper. You look at the whole combination. So don't get too hung up on covering your paper, or don't get too hung up on covering your layers, because it's the end result that you're going towards. And if you can just add to the whole aesthetic, that's really what we're going for. All right, so I'm going to, this is my focal, but I'm not going to do it right in the middle. We're going to do it towards the bottom right side. So let me go ahead and glue this down. One of the bad things about this die is there's so many little pieces you got to poke out. So the middle portion usually gets covered. But I'm going to try to be strategic here and just show the dots that have been poked out. I might have to poke out a few more. We'll see. All right. And then this is going to go towards, like I said, towards the bottom half. All right. So there's that. And then as you add more glue, you saw I only put glue in the middle. It will hold it down. All right. So let me, since we are going to use this ticket, this is another old die. I think I mentioned that. Some of those old ones are awesome. And the way that I get this is that was that paper. I have double-sided tape. So I add tape to this, and then I add whatever designer paper I want to use because I want this to be a little bit thicker. I don't want it to be flimsy. And that's how I do that. And then this is going to go here. I think this is where the layers come into play. I love layering. It's my favorite. Now I could either use this or this, but because I'm going to go long way, I think I'm going to use this one. And that's why I like to have things on my desk because I never know which direction I'm going to go. It's looking good. All right, do I add that? I don't know. I don't know. Let's see. I wish these slides, I had more that were long because I certainly can't do that. That's not going to work. I might, well, I know I'm going to use this. So let's glue this down. But before I do that, I have these numbers here somewhere. Where are my numbers? I had these. I go thrift shop, go to thrift stores, and I shop at thrift stores, and I found these old tickets that you print, right, for like raffles and whatnot. So I made some Christmas tickets with Santas and everything. But some of the tickets didn't come out right, like my prototypes. But I liked the numbers, so I kept all these numbers on my prototypes because, like I said, I don't throw anything away, which is part of my problem. So I think I'm going to use this number. That's why my craft room is a mess, because I don't throw anything away. I don't care though. It's my room. All right, so let's see. All right, so I'm going to glue this. So let's do that. So if you know that you're layering, but you want to put things underneath, this is for your focal point. This is where you have to have some foresight. Everybody still out there? It got quiet all of a sudden. All right. So I'm going to do that. This is going to go down there. This, I don't know yet. I don't know about that yet. All right. So I think I'm going to have to do something like that. All right. Arranging your stencils. See, that's one thing I don't use enough of. I have a video coming out probably next Saturday. So I already taped it. It's a Christmas video, but I'm trying to stagger my videos because I don't know how many I'm going to be able to make. And I actually use my stencil and some of the new icicle paste that Tim came out with. But I don't use, my point is I don't use my stencils enough, which I want to. I like them. You know, it's another thing. You buy them, you like them, but then you don't use them. My spending for my craft supplies has really gone down though, just because I find I waste so much. And I don't like to be wasteful. Yeah. Maybe up a little higher. And do I want, Oh, I think I like that versus that. Oh, yeah. I get so excited. The littlest things get me excited. It's so ridiculous. All right. Uh, so originally, I was thinking I was going to do it this way, but I like the Process by Kodak on the bottom. And I think, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but again, it's what I like, I guess, right? I think I like that better. What do you think? So again, we're just kind of building up my focal point here. I think that looks fabulous. And with my wet glue, use video. Oh, stenciling your video today? Yeah, I need to watch more videos with stencils because, and I have them organized really nicely. It's not like I can't find them. They're just not my go-to. All right, so that's that. I know I want to put the number, but I don't know if I'm going to use that yet. All right, and then I have these leaves. That might be overkill. Yeah, I don't like that. Okay, so I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to use my remnant rubs. All right, so who knows what a remnant rub is? Because whenever I use them, people are like, what's a remnant rub? Who knows what a remnant rub is? Thanks, Sherry. I'm glad you're liking it. So yeah, so I'm a little bit delayed on my comments here, but these are remnant rubs. And I love these. As you can see, I have a whole bag full. But basically they're just like little quotes, they're little numbers. And I just think they look great on cards, especially Sherry, you know what a remnant rub is? Yes, Desiree, thank you. Can't believe it because I use these a lot on my cards, and people are like, what's a remnant rub? I'm like, are you kidding? You're missing out. I love them. All right, so I want to put something up here. That's what I'm trying to think what I'm going to do, because I think it needs something. This is the Field Note ones, and if you guys have seen the Field Notes stamp set, where am I at with time? 47. Okay, I'm not going to keep this more than an hour. But Tim created a Field Notes stamp set, and he's got paper, and he's got the remnant rubs, and I think that probably is my favorite set. I use it a lot. I can't decide what I want to do. So I'm going to put numbers here, I think, and then I'll put like a little sentiment or something here. Not invoice orders. Okay. It's how, see, this is what holds me up. I never know what I want to do. All right, so let's use this number here. This is why it takes me 2 hours to make a card. You've never used your remnant rose till this year? Oh gosh, I've been using them since they've come out. And sometimes Tim doesn't even come out with new sets. I mean, I hope he never does away with them because I think they're awesome, but not everybody gets as excited about them as I do. All right, so we're not ready to glue this down yet. But look at this. So, I mean, just the littlest addition makes such a huge difference. And I think they're awesome. So we need to add something on top. Decisions. Identification check. That's not going to fit. Chronicles. Field Notes. I don't know. See, this is what takes me so long. Travel, collection time, fragile glass. Okay, I don't want to spend my last 15 minutes trying to figure out figure out what I'm going to do. All right, so I'm just going to pick something. Just pick something and go with it. So let's go with not toxic, that's for sure. Destination, will that fit? No, destination won't fit. Oh gosh, collector. I don't know. Chronicles. All right, let's just go with Chronicles. I said I could be here all day trying to figure out. But for me, it's all of the details. I like the little details. When you get a card that has this much embellishment, I mean, don't you just love just looking at it and breaking it down? And I'm sorry, you can't go to the grocery store and buy cards like this. So I know that I take a long time, and there's my E, and figuring out the details, but to me, that's what makes the card is the details. Okay, so Chronicles, and we'll add some more there. Okay, so that's going to be my focal point. Yeah, so I'm ready to glue this down. Do I want to pop it? Pop. Or do I want to have it flat? I think I'll just have it flat. Okay. And another thing I do also when I'm making cards like this, like I said, I cut a couple of bases. When I have everything out, I'll make a couple of cards. So when I'm done filming here, I'll probably make a few more cards. Why isn't that going down? Let me see here. All right, so that is not. I should. Okay. I must have something that's lifted. That's right. I'm going to put foam tape. Do a cursor view here. Where is my foam tape? It's right here. And you see how that's kind of coming up a little bit? I'm not sure why, but I'm just going to put a little bit of foam tape underneath it to balance it out. Nobody's going to see it. Pull this off. All right, cool. Yeah. All right. Now I want to put it on the other side. See, you guys don't see this when I'm taping my videos because I edit all of this out. But you can see that the struggle is real when I'm crafting. I have to make decisions. I have to fix my mistakes. And you guys don't see that when I'm taping because I edit that stuff out. So yeah, right now, if I was making a video, I would have edited everything out and then I would say, okay, now we're going to lay this down. But I don't get to edit when I'm doing it live. Okay, almost there. Oh, you know what? I forgot to put this. That's right. We'll use that for the next card. Okay, now, final touches. I want to add either, like on my last card, I did buttons, and these are, I found these at the estate sale, a huge bag of vintage buttons. This is like not even a quarter of them. This is like 1/10 of them. But on the last card, I added these buttons, but I also wanted to show you some other ideas. So these pop-up stickers are great. I added them on this card here, so I could use pop-up stickers. I also have these here that I could add. I don't know if flowers will go with this one because this is more of a vintage vibe, where this was more of a kind of a foo-foo vibe. But I also have these. And these, again, I got at, where did I get these at? At a craft swap meet, I think. Got a whole jar full. And I just kind of separated them into colors. I think these would work. And I think this is what I'm going to use because I want to add just a few embellishments. And I also want to add, I think, I don't know. I haven't decided yet. Let me think about that. Okay, so I'm going to go darker because I think it needs the contrast. So maybe something like that, and then maybe a couple down here. I usually like odd numbers for some reason, but what about you guys? When you're putting down your embellishments, do you have like a certain pattern that you use? Like you'll go only odd numbers or only even numbers? Like if I have my Nuvo drops, it's always an odd number. I'm putting down these little, I don't know what they're, teardrops. I don't even know what they're called. But again, I'm going with an odd number. And I just think, again, visually, I just think it looks better. And maybe it's just me. But definitely the darker color, I think, is a good contrast. Too much glue on that one. Odd numbers. Yeah, me too. I just think, again, visually, I think it looks better. And, okay, too much glue. Too much glue. Again, if I was taping my video, I would have stopped the camera. I fixed my little mistakes and then started up again. Okay. So pretend I stopped the camera and then I restarted it. All right. So I think that's it, you guys. So hopefully I didn't talk too much. Hopefully I've given you some ideas on layering cards. Like I said, this was the one I made for my mom for her birthday. And then this is the one we did together. But the concept is the same. You have your backgrounds, and then once you have your background paper, it's just a matter of finding that focal point to finish off your card. So that's it. I was able to keep it under an hour. We're at 57 and almost 58 minutes. So I did keep my goal in keeping it under an hour. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed my lives. I don't do them very often, like I said. But I think during football season, I might just come on Sunday afternoons if that works for everybody. My husband, like I said, is normally watching football. So I'm in here crafting. Why don't I turn on the camera and just craft with you guys? So that's it for me today. If I do another live, it'll be next Sunday. So watch. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, make sure you're subscribed. So that way, if I do schedule it, you guys will get notified. All right. Thanks so much, everybody, for visiting with me and crafting with me. And we'll see you again next time.